Hello everybody, this is my first video that I'm coming out with on operating in the creative, well actually not the first, but one of the first. Excuse me. So let me get started. In this lesson, it's going to be a short one, I want to teach how to create out of formless substance, and that means substance that already exists and even those that do not yet exist. Most people know how to create out of substance that already exists. So that's what I'm going to touch on first. Now, concerning things, the form of substances that already exist, all things are but yet another form of original creation. For instance, it is said that 99% of our DNA is called junk DNA, but that's not true. Another name for junk is alien DNA. It is DNA that is made up of substances that are not found on the Earth. Currently, most human beings have only 2 strands of DNA, while we originally had 12. But that's another subject for another matter. Now, the first principle we must learn is that there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, in which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner space of the universe. From a metaphysical perspective, the Earth is a organism. It's an organ and an organism. It's a living thing from which we were actually created. Right now, human beings can form things, thoughts in their mind. They can form things in their thoughts, and by impressing their thoughts on formless substance, can create those things that they need. Right? In order to become a wealthy, and I'm not talking about just finances, I'm talking about spirit, soul, body, finances, which is also a part of resources, which is the bigger picture. Spirit, soul, body, finances, resources, and relationships. Those are the 5 areas that I know of a of creation. In order to become wealthy in these areas, a person needs to think in a certain way. A person's way of doing things is a direct result of the way that they think about things. To do things in a way which creates wealth, a person needs to acquire the ability to think in a way that will create the wealth they need so that they can lead a life complete of everything they need to fulfill their purpose. This is the first step towards gaining wealth. If a person is not productive in this way, it is because they are not doing things in the certain way that will cause them to produce wealth in all of these areas. And one of the most important things to know is that in order to gain wealth in these areas, a person must think truth, right? As a professor once told me, truth is a principle that cannot be changed. In order to gain wealth, a person must use principles that cannot change. And it is my hope to teach these principles through these videos. Right. Now, let me give an example. To look upon the appearance of disease will produce the form of disease in your mind and ultimately in your body, unless you hold the thought of the truth that there is no disease. It is only an appearance, and the reality is health. This is why most physicians say that 99% of all diseases are psychosomatic. 99% of all diseases can be eradicated through your mind and through your diet and through exercise. Most physicians that actually know this truth will tell you that. Okay, to think health when surrounded by the appearance of disease excuse me, or to think riches when in the when in the midst of the appearance of poverty requires power, mental power, right? But to acquire this power, you must master your mind, all right? So that's where you know it is said in Christian circles that Satan whenever Satan appears or whenever something happens to you, it always happens in your mind first. That is so true. So in order to basically come out of a position where you're living in poverty, where you don't have the things that you need, you're going to have to learn where it is in your mind that you need to make adjustments so that the things that you need can be produced. Now, when I was in seminary, some of the professors said that there's basically two schools of scholarly thought. One school says that God created everything, and then God stepped back from God's creation and allowed His creation to basically create and work things out. That's one thought. The other thought is that God created everything, and then God stepped back, but then God helps in His creation when we give God permission to help. I kind of agree with both, actually, that because a lot of the things that we go through as human beings is because, like it says in Hosea, that we are destroyed for lack of knowledge. If you don't know something, the fact that you don't know it can cause you to be destroyed. Now, I can definitely go into the legal arena and teach that as well, because the judicial system that we have, not just in this country but in all countries, is set up so that they use the laws that they created against you, and unless you know those laws, then you're basically a slave to that system. It's the same thing in all five there: spirit, soul, body, resources, and relationships. Same thing. If you don't know truth, principles of truth, then basically you're susceptible to poverty in all those areas, right? I'm going to go a little bit into that. Okay, every person is born with a blank slate. In Catholicism, they say that but when you're in the mother's womb, you basically have all of the universe, all wisdom, all knowledge flowing through you. And then when you pass through the birth canal, you lose this knowledge only to attempt to regain it throughout your lifetime. There's a lot of truth to that. I don't have time to get into that, but that's true as well. So, but whether a person is born into a wealthy environment or whether a person is born into an impoverished environment, each of them can produce the substances they need to become whatever they want to become and to fulfill their dreams, desires, and purposes. All right. So basically, to build what I've already stated, there's the thinking stuff from which all things are made, in which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner space of the universe. Number two, a thought in this substance produces the things imagined by the thought. And number three, human beings can form things in their thoughts, and by impressing their thoughts upon formless substance, can cause the things that they create, that they think about, to be created. All right, this is all I'm going to have in this video for right now. I'll be looking forward to speaking to you again. God bless.